I'm Ron Wilshire, and today's guests are from the MMA in Clarion, the Mixed Martial Arts Academy, and we have John Miller and Hilary LeFay. Welcome to the show. I understand, John, this should be on TV, actually. John, I understand you have quite a few things happening at the MMA.
Yeah, this is a good week to be talking to all of you lovely folks out there. Clarion MMA is having an open house and a demonstration session this Saturday. It's open to the public. People are welcome and encouraged to come. It'll be demonstrated all of the different types of schools and styles and classes that are offered at Clarion MMA, running the gamut, really, if you will, from slow Tai Chi classes, traditional karate classes, judo classes, and right on through, actually, MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and people who are interested in cage fighting, etc. So this would be a good chance to come. It'll be 10 o'clock till noon this Saturday. Then from noon till 2, there's a kids' Jiu-Jitsu tournament, which would be, I think, fascinating for a lot of people to see. We're encouraging kids, parents, young and old alike, to come and bring your friends and see you there.
Where is the academy?
Hilary, you want to take it away?
Yeah, we're located right next to where the bowling alley was. So between the bowling alley and the YMCA. And our building is invisible unless you're looking for it, but then we're pretty easy to find.
Yes, it's the first level of training is can you find the building? It's where's
Exactly.
Waldo. But literally, you're driving past the bowling alley going, which way are you going? You're going east, okay? So you're leaving the metropolis of Clarion in your vehicle. You have just passed the former Clarion bowling alley. And it's when you pass that bowling alley, hit your right blinker, because that's when you want to turn. It's before you get to the YMCA, significantly before, actually. Turn into the parking lot and come on in.
And we're only about, I think it's 2.6 miles from campus. So we actually have some people that walk to us. And then when the weather gets nicer, we'll run back and forth.
Do you have all ages attending this?
We have, starting at age 3, we have classes. Preschool karate is our youngest class that John and I both teach. And there's no striking involved in any of the younger age classes. And then we have everybody, all ages, up through adults of any age.
Well, parents and siblings are safe when the kids come home from this?
Actually, they tend to be much safer. So we do have some kids that do much better once they have a controlled environment of learning how to control their bodies and getting just information and learning their own skills on the mat. And then they are told not to use those skills at home.
Mixed martial arts sometimes covers a wide variety of activities, but discipline's involved in all of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Discipline with your sensei or your teacher, but also with your own body, and just control of your muscles, but also control of your nutrition is something that we talk about too.
Even though it's probably a minor part of it, you mentioned cage fighting. It seems that the UFC is the most visible proponent of MMA. How do you cover that?
Well, we actually, all of the disciplines that we teach separately are the martial arts, and then when you add the mixed to it, that's when you get cage fighting. And so some of the excellent cage fighters right now had started off in judo and are judo black belts. Other ones are wrestlers. Other ones are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, but then they're working on all the other disciplines at the same time. So we have a lot of people that start off in one discipline. Primarily Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo are why they come to us. And then they mix it in with Muay Thai kickboxing and add the striking. And we have people training to do cage fights probably once or twice a month. We're going to a cage fight, mostly in Ohio, to corner a couple of our guys that are fighting. And it's a great, even if you don't plan on actually getting into the cage to fight, it's a fascinating sport. If you watch UFC or Bellator or any of those, it's very technical. It's like a moving chess game, and once you have a little bit of knowledge about what in the world they're doing, it's fascinating, and it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of training to be able to do.
How does someone become a teacher in that? I mean, what do you have to have some type of training yourself?
Well, we train, my husband and I are owners of Clarion MMA, and we train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu currently. And Leo, my husband, has a background in karate and in striking, and he was in the Army, and he's gone through lots of other training. And then we do a lot of sparring, actually, at the academy. So your first time fighting in a cage is not the first time you've actually fought. You wear a lot more padding when you're sparring and preparing for it. But you become excellent in many disciplines, hopefully.
What's the difference between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and just Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, there's Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and there's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's a longer history lesson.
Yeah, that would be time-consuming. Simply put, the stuff that's in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's a component of judo that's involved with grappling and being on the ground. That was kind of marginalized a little bit by the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu people. Dr. Kano, who founded judo, had a bunch of emissaries he would send around the world because he wanted to expand judo's consciousness about it, people working out in judo, etc. One of his people landed in Brazil, and a gentleman named Gracie, who was from a rather wealthy family, was fascinated by this, hired this guy to teach him jiu-jitsu. Now, what this particular gentleman who left Japan was very much into the ground aspect of judo. The part that had been marginalized a bit in Japan was his real focus. And the Brazilians have taken this to a whole nother level. I mean, the ground fighting aspect, being on the ground, grappling, if you will, it's like it's a whole nother dictionary of information, of activity sets that was not there in Japan. And it's really fascinating, as Hillary says. It is kind of a chess game. And I want to just kind of run it back for a second to stress that this is a very significant part of what's done at the Academy. But if you're a parent or a child and you're concerned with, well, I don't want my kid fighting in a cage. I mean, I keep him in a cage at home. I don't need to take him out somewhere to do that. But, no, I'm being facetious, okay? Work with me here. But there are other avenues. I mean, there's certainly a wide avenue for people who are interested in competition, who want to compete, and that's a wonderful thing. Hillary and Leo are great teachers and instructors at that. But for people who maybe aren't so competitively bent, there are other things you can do there that are great exercise. They're great ways to learn to defend yourself in the case of a random attack, etc. And I've used maybe a little bit of a differentiation between, lining up with somebody saying, let's grapple, and self-defense, where you're maybe just walking down the street, somebody jumps out of an alleyway at you. That's a whole different ballgame. You do different things there, and you do what's illegal in the sport, and you do it there to kind of get out of a very, very dangerous, potentially life-threatening situation. So simply put, there's something for everybody. The preschool kids, there's a preschool class is, as you might guess, 90% of it is learning your left from your right. And that's just what I'm trying to learn. So, so you can be 3 years old, as Hillary said, you can be 80 years old. If you're beyond 80, you can still come. And, we have stuff for people who don't want to be so maybe aggressively competitive, and certainly there is a lot available for people who do want to compete and want to work out very hard.
Do people just use it for fitness? I mean, just
Absolutely.
To get in shape and that type of thing?
We run a class, or if you look at our schedule online, it's clarionmma.com, that we call 5 Rounds of Fitness. And it's based on lots of research that's been done on the best way to increase your cardio levels. But it's also works in if you are preparing to compete in jiu-jitsu or preparing to compete in anything. But basically, for 5 separate rounds, 5 minutes each, you work as hard as you possibly can at your own level. So you might be working up to 5 push-ups next to somebody who is working on 60 push-ups. But you can work at your own level, push it, and once we know you, we'll know how to push you a little bit further. But that can be just based on fitness levels and not even geared towards a particular sport.
Let's see, 11, 12, 13. No, I'm counting Ron's push-ups now as we speak. Ron, okay, get up off the floor. You're done with your push-ups. Good job. Oh, man. Check out those steps.
Only in your imagination. Hey, does anyone ever get hurt doing this stuff?
Pretty rarely. You are definitely more likely to get hurt on the playground, honestly. Maybe once every 6 months. I mean, we've had somebody trip and actually hurt his toe very badly.
Who was that?
I think John did. Not you, John, the other John.
This doesn't come under HIPAA requirements.
No.
A lot of it, if you're familiar with the ground game in MMA, there's submissions, and you tap out hopefully, from those submissions. So when we're training, we really emphasize that you tap early rather than tap late, but that's getting into more details. Any striking, that kind of thing, actually, as the people that you would be sparring with and working with are also working towards the same goal and understand that there's no benefit to wailing on you. And so everybody is that's a huge part of martial arts too, actually, is being a good partner in training and in discipline too. So obviously there are some injuries, but we've definitely heard many more stories of people getting injured just falling off of monkey bars. So, and we do not have any monkey bars.
No monkey bars. Well, I know you teach music lessons and you bake cakes. And what on earth made you start a MMA academy?
Well, I've always liked working out. I've liked being an athlete. I played soccer in high school, and they frown upon tackling people in soccer. I don't know if you're familiar with the sport of soccer. And so when I went to college, I was planning on playing soccer. Saw, on a bulletin board a thing for rugby, and that was definitely my speed for college. So I played rugby in college, and then graduated. Rugby was over, and I found Muay Thai kickboxing, which I absolutely loved. That was back in Virginia. We moved here to Clarion about 11 years ago, mostly run for exercise, that kind of thing. And then Leo got into watching MMA probably 4 or 5 years ago, gets it in his head that he wants to turn our garage into a place for us, or for him to do mostly jiu-jitsu and some striking and things. And I thought, I don't know, for some reason, even though I'd played rugby and I like punching people, I thought, oh, well, this will be a guy thing. Like, we imagined that there were going to be, he talked to wrestlers from the college, and we thought that's what was going to happen in there. And I inevitably ended up doing it with him, and now we've been traveling a lot to learn more Brazilian jiu-jitsu, because there was nowhere to go here then. So we were learning online and from books and that kind of thing. And now we've been traveling to different seminars. We went to California last summer to travel to a lot of different martial arts academies and to be promoted in jiu-jitsu and to learn more.
No, that's fine. I was just signaling we have to
I thought you were going to try to break my neck. I wasn't sure if I should come over there.
No, Hillary, it's a commercial break, not a physical break.
I wouldn't go there. Is this the commercial that's for my book? I just wondering.
No,
framing?
Framing, okay.
I think those come later in the second half of the show.
Yeah,
you're listening to Clarion Connection, or we hope you're listening to Clarion Connection on WWCH and C93.
Colorectal cancer is the #1 cause of cancer in men and women combined. It's very curable if caught in the early stages. However, at this point, there are rarely any warning signs. So how can you protect yourself? A colonoscopy. This is an outpatient procedure performed routinely at Clarion Hospital. You are usually asleep and don't feel a thing. And if polyps are found, they can be removed at the same time. Our goal is to take the mystery out of having a colonoscopy and to help you understand the importance of this simple test. Clarion Hospital. Expert medical care right here at home.
For a 4th year in a row, United Way of Clarion County is honored to host one of Northwestern PA's Winter Circuit Bluegrass Festivals. Clarion River Jam Bluegrass Festival will be held Friday, March 15th beginning at 6 p.m. and Saturday, March 16th from noon until 11 p.m. at the Clarion Holiday Inn. The event is open and free to the public. United Way of Clarion County will be accepting donations, selling t-shirts, and conducting raffles. For more information, call United Way at 226-8760.
Welcome back to Clarion Connection. I'm Ron Wilshire, and with me today from the MMA Academy is Hillary LeFay and John Miller. Before the break, we were talking about the open house this Saturday, or if you're listening on C93, it was yesterday. but it will give people a good chance to, if you're curious about it, to see the various activities offered at the MMA and perhaps enroll in some future classes. So once again, what are the types of things going on in the open house?
We'll have demonstrations of each of the classes individually and showing the different disciplines that we teach. And John is our karate instructor.
Right. There'll be a karate demonstration. This is, what I call traditional karate. It's based on forms known as kata there, where you're kind of doing prearranged movements. A lot of this is about memorization, about balance. I mean, there are side things you're learning as you're learning these things that aren't necessarily, to most Westerners, considered pragmatic. I mean, you get people in karate saying, well, nobody's going to attack me like that. Why should I learn this? And really, it's much deeper than that, and it's not just what it's about. But it's a good venue for people who want to work out, want to learn basics of karate, as in terms of what that was really about initially in Japan, learn self-defense, not necessarily compete, not necessarily get into matches with people. The fighting, the sparring that is done there, kumite, is non-contact sparring. You're encouraged not to hit your opponent partner, but you go to a point where it's obvious you could have hit them if you wanted to. You've chosen and used your body control to stop doing that. And that at one point, some of these karate people, they kind of came to a point where people were beating each other up, training and all that. And it's like, how do we teach people to do this without anybody getting hurt? And that's where they went. And now, we come almost, I don't want to say full circle, but with the jiu-jitsu and the MMA, people are into that. Some people are into that sort of contact and combat, and that's great. So all those venues are available. There'll be a demonstration for the karate classes, as there will be for the preschool kids. And just briefly jumping back to say, nobody should be discouraged or thinking their kid's going to get hurt, or it's like, why would I have my kid learn to fight? I mean, that's why I want them to learn that. I think there's a school of thought out there that this is a good way to get it out of their system. They're probably less prone to fight. They're less prone to be overly aggressive at home, because we do teach, of course, as Hillary said, and she and Leo again are very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructors. You teach kids how to grapple, how to fight, how to defend themselves. But also there's a component of this where we teach kids how to be still, how not to move, how to control yourself, so that when somebody says stand still, be still, don't be fidgeting, don't be going through the cupboards at mom and dad's house. You learn not to do that. And that takes time, but that's part of the goal, I guess, of the whole training process.
But Grasshopper, do you split any bricks or blocks of wood?
Kamashiwara, as the breaking is. Now, we have some. We don't do a lot of that. In my school, the thought was we're into constructive, not destructive behavior, with diminishing rainforest. We don't need to be breaking a lot of boards to, to make ourselves feel macho. But, we do some limited breaking there. Nowadays, they have boards you can actually put back together again, so it's not as destructive in the long term. But, yeah, there is some breaking. If people are interested in breaking, we can sure do some breaking. Well, I got something that needs broken, Ron?
No, it's just amazing that I guess that's the American part, that they could make
well, there are a lot of
blocks that you put back together.
Oh, yeah, right. So, yeah, I mean, there are schools, karate schools, where it's all about breaking. I mean, there are people there. The school I used to go to, some people, like, we do knuckle push-ups, for example. And it almost like, you'd get in line and people are you could see them kind of checking out each other's knuckles. Like somebody might do it at a beauty contest or something, like, wow, some knuckle that dude's got, because they've been breaking a lot of stuff and doing a lot of knuckle push-ups. And, I could see it. I used to do knuckle push-ups. It just kind of, there's not
sort of knuckle anymore. Profiling.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
It's a problem.
It is. Yeah. It's a hands-on problem.
Yeah. So, lots.
My book. Oh, never mind.
Lots. Yes. Let's talk. Well, lots of things going on at the MMA, and I mentioned that Hillary also has music lessons and baking and framing.
And
right?
framing. Yep.
So.
That's what took over the space in the garage. Actually, after we moved all of the mats and the bags, the punching bags and things out of our garage into our current location, I got to take it over as a wood shop. So that's where all my
so
framing
you can do bigger
happens.
frames now since it's in the garage.
Exactly.
And John, besides selling or having things available for sale at your store, Art Funkels, you're also launching into the publishing business?
Yes, I have a book of short stories that I've written. They will be available at Art Funkel for your purchase starting tomorrow, literally, or maybe even this afternoon. I have a box of books being shipped to me. And they're stories kind of loosely based on my experience as a human being or alleged human being on planet Earth growing up in New York State. So I'm kind of excited about it, but I'm post-excited about it now. I'm not thinking too much about it. But yeah, it is a book. It's titled What Else Do You Want? Available at Art Funkel, also on Amazon. But I've worked out a deal in my anti-business methodology where if you buy it on Amazon, I encourage that because I make zero money. But if you buy it from me, I make a little money. So, you may want to buy it on Amazon because I got enough problem with taxes now, avoiding them. Oh, I didn't say that.
I think you did.
Damn.
And the IRS regularly listens to Clarion Connection. So, is your sequel going to be about being an alien? If the first one's about you being a human being?
The sequel is in the works, actually, which is a similar collection of stories that are loosely based on my life. Creative nonfiction is the terminology used nowadays. That they're about things that happen, but they're embellished, they're changed, they're kind of compressed. So things that may have happened over a period of a long time are happening over a short time. Having said that, I've written a couple of novels that I have not tried to publish. One does have an alien component, and also a martial arts component, and that the title is Yin Yang Doo-Doo and the Gas Attack Ensemble, and that may be available soon. I have to rework it because I wrote it some years back, and I have a friend who's an editor and a publisher in New Orleans, and I sent it to him. And I said, could you go over this book and do some editing, yada, yada. At that time, it was 276 pages long. So he did it, he edited it, he sent it back to me. He goes, I like some of the stuff that's happening here, but you need to shorten it. So I said, okay, great. So I dove back into the book. When I resurfaced, it was 1,200 pages long. So that was a problem, because you get in there and the characters keep doing stuff, and I'm like, no, I got to shorten this. And they said, no, you have to report this certain thing. I did. So eventually, I didn't want to edit again, because then it'd be 11,000 pages. So I'm going to try and get it down under 1,000, and then hopefully
it sounds like a series.
It is a series. There is a series of 3 existing: Yin Yang Doo-Doo and the Gas Attack Ensemble. The second one is Bug, and the third one is Beef. And there's some social commentary, and I'll start a disclaimer about that now. It's one of my many personalities wrote that, but I don't know that person anymore. So I disassociate.
Well, Sybil, do
you have my medications? Somebody has my medication.
This seems like an ideal story for a graphic novel, and I understand you're starting to sell comic books at
Yes,
Art Funkel's.
At Art Funkel, that most of you come to probably on a daily basis. At 623 Main Street, Clarion. We do have comic books for sale, and I don't know a lot about comic books, so I figured why not sell something else I don't know anything about, and then I can make less money. So yeah, come on in and you can check out our comic book selection. It's rather extensive, and frankly, I think we are the largest comic book emporium catch basin in the, 4-county area. I don't know where the next nearest one would be, maybe in Franklin, the big city, or Butler, of course, has everything going on there. But, yeah, we have comic books, we have used books for sale very inexpensively, we have locally made arts and crafts, and we have a lot of LPs, a lot of vinyl for sale. Or you can just come in and there's a couch back there, and if I'm not taking a nap, you can just hang out and drink coffee and sit on the couch. That's what most of our alleged customers do.
Are the naps part of the MMA regimen?
Hillary?
Get in trouble here.
Well,
I'm throwing that to you.
Yeah. The naps, I don't know. I was going to actually just interrupt, and I remembered we have a few more things coming up. So
yes.
We have Jean-Jacques Machado. In the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world is a rock star of Jiu-Jitsu, and he's coming to do a workshop April 13th and 14th, which if anybody is listening to this and even knows that name, then they should get themselves signed up for it, because it's pretty spectacular. It's a big deal that he's coming here. The Hampton Inn is putting him up. Daddy's is doing a banquet for him on the 13th, that Saturday night. And then this summer we are doing camps, which we had some very successful camps last summer for youth. One of them is a Hunger Games camp, and I'd just like to put out there right now that everybody comes out alive. Just exhausted. It was a spectacular experience last summer. We had a blast. We also did martial arts around the world and a martial arts movie making camp last summer. But our website will have that information probably in the next month. We'll have camp.
Any archery instruction?
We did have archery, absolutely, during Hunger Games, and we did lots of playing in the woods and survival techniques and camouflage. And by the last day, we had, girls all standing in the mirror working on their camouflage makeup and trying to make sure they were completely invisible. It was, and mud, lots and lots of mud. Yeah.
Is that a week-long camp?
It is, yes.
Do they get to go home in the evening, or do they stay?
Yes, we let them go home in the evening and wash up and get fed. And most of them were going home at about 5 o'clock. They were showered and asleep by 6 p.m. and then they're at the MMA next morning.
It is a good thing for parents if they're looking for something for the kids to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a nice, and the martial arts in general has been a nice alternative to some other physical, activities, or if you're out of season in your usual sport, it's a good thing to try to pick up.
Now, the rock star of jiu-jitsu, is he going to speak or put on programs that the public can attend? You could come. I'm not sure if you're not familiar with jiu-jitsu.
what you would get out of it, but he will be doing a seminar on the Saturday and Sunday of the weekend that he is here from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then he'll be that evening, on Saturday evening, we'll be having the banquet, which who doesn't love daddy? So you can come to the banquet anyway, and he will obviously be there, and we'll have lots of people from the surrounding states that are coming.
And if anyone wants more information on that, it's on the website?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our website is www.obviously.clarionmma.com. You can stop by anytime that we're open. You don't have to pre-register for any classes. Just show up in exercise clothes. You can also call us at 814-221-0806 for more information.
And Hillary, as far as I understand, people are... there are a lot of free classes. Is that not correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
You can.
Anybody who wants to try a class?
Yeah, come and try your first class for free, your first week of classes for free. We want people to know that they will enjoy it.
And quickly along the same line is the price depends on what exactly you're doing, but I have to say, Leo and Hillary, this is the most inexpensive martial arts school I've ever seen. I mean, in the late 70s, early 80s, I was doing karate in New York State. I was paying 4 times more than they charge here now, $2013. So they're very reasonably priced. In fact, almost scarily, they're trying to follow the Art Funkel model a little bit financially, I think. So that worries me about them. But it's very inexpensive. Cost should not be an issue, should not be prohibitive for anybody. They're also very nice people, and they'll work with you if finances are an issue.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us on Clarion Connection today. I think it's been very informative. And don't forget, the MMA is located between the old bowling alley and the YMCA, or the old Garneau's, if we're going back that far. But it's out there along the road, and it's worth stopping by and checking out. Thanks for listening to Clarion Connection.